Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. Today we will learn about the concept of demand. Before we go to the concept of demand, first we will clear a basic confusion when we often cross in defining demand. What is the confusion? We confuse demand with desire and want. Now, let us first know what is a desire. A desire is just a wish. It is our wish for something. When we wish to have a particular good, when we wish to have a particular thing, that is our desire. In this picture, we can see that a man is sitting who is a beggar. He begs for his living. Now, he can have a wish to travel or to go on a holiday, but he cannot afford that. He cannot have sufficient money for traveling. So this is his mere wish or desire. Now, when this desire becomes want, a desire can only become want when you have sufficient money to purchase that thing or that good or to fulfill your wish. Now, suppose if that particular beggar is suddenly he earns a lottery, he gets a lottery of rupees 1 lakhs. So he can spend that particular amount of 1 lakhs for different purposes. He has his want of good food, good clothes and a house. He will have to decide on which he wants to spend the money. Till now, his wish of traveling or going on a holiday is not demand. Why? Because he will have to decide on spending for that purpose. He will have to decide whether he wants to have some good food and then he wants to have a good house. He wants to purchase a house. He wants to purchase his clothes. He wants to fulfill some of his other wishes. So when you have money and you have your wish, then it is called want. But till now, why this is not your demand? Because you have not decided to spend your money on this. So when it will be called a demand? When you have desire for a particular good. Secondly, you have money to purchase that good, and the most important condition is that you have decided to purchase that good. You are willing to spend the money on that good. That is, demand is the desire for the particular commodity or good which is backed by your purchasing power or money. That is, you can purchase, you have the power to purchase that good, and willingness to spend. That is, even after having your money, if you do not decide that I will go on a holiday, it will not become your demand. It will only be your want which you can fulfill in a later time. Now we will move to the formal definition of demand. So demand is defined as the quantity of a particular commodity that a consumer wishes to purchase at a given price in a particular period of time. Here we know what does the term quantity of a commodity means. That is, you have purchased 2 units, 3 units, 4 units, 5 units. That is the quantity and that you wish to purchase. Now the two terms, that is a given price and particular period of time. Why these two terms are used? Because demand can only be defined at a particular price. What is the demand for a pen at rupees 2? Or what is the demand for this pen when its price is rupees 5? Again, you will have to add a particular time period to define demand. So if we frame a complete sentence on demand for a particular good, for example, a pen, we will say that the demand for this pen is 10 units when its price is rupees 5 during the last week or during the last month or during this time period. So what we have to remember that the demand for a commodity is a particular quantity, that is some units which is purchased at a particular price and at a or in a particular time. Now, how demand is determined? We have defined demand well, but there has to be some factors or some reasons or some considerations which uh, drive us to demand something. How we decide that we will demand this good? First, obviously, we should have that wish for that particular good, and also we have sufficient money in our wallet. But after that, what we will consider? The first thing that we will consider is the price of that commodity. That is, when we go to a shop for having a particular commodity, then obviously we have decided that we will purchase that good. After going to the shop, the first thing we will ask or we look on the price tag is the price. When we see that its price is at a higher level, then we will obviously consume less of the commodity, and when its price falls or the commodity is available at a lower price, we will have or we will purchase more and more of that commodity. In this way, price of a commodity affects its demand. Now, after considering its price, the second thing which we consider is the price of related goods. Now, what are related goods? Related goods can be of two types. Number one, substitute goods, and number two, complementary goods. Now, what is substitute good? Substitute goods are those goods which are not consumed together. That is, we will consume either of the two. For example, tea and coffee. We do not consume tea and coffee simultaneously. We either consume tea or we consume coffee. In case of substitute goods, what happens is that demand for a commodity falls with fall in its price of the substitute. Why? Because when price of coffee falls, we will consume more and more of coffee, and while we consume more of coffee, we cannot consume more tea. As a result, we will reduce the demand for tea. When it comes to the complementary goods, what happens? We consume both the goods at the same time. So, when demand for a good, say complementary one, increases, we will obviously have to increase the demand for the second good. For example, pen and ink. If the demand for pen increases, obviously the demand for ink will increase. Again, if the price of pen increases, the demand for pen will fall, and when we reduce the purchase of pen, what will we do? Purchasing more and more ink. So we will reduce the quantity or the demand of ink. Similarly, if we take the example of car and petrol, if the demand for car is reduced, obviously the demand for petrol will also be reduced. So price of related goods affect in a good way the demand for a particular commodity. The third factor, which is our income. When we have an increased income, we demand more and more of the commodity. Obviously, when you have more of your pocket money, when your pocket money is increased, you will demand more of the good which you demand regularly. When your pocket money is reduced, you cannot demand more of that good. So income of the consumer is also an important factor which determines the demand for a particular commodity. Because when you have more income, your purchasing power increases. What is purchasing power? The power to purchase. what is the power to purchase? That is your income, that is the money, that is your wallet, which is filled with money or not. So in this case, what we say that when income increases, demand also increases. Obviously, there are some assumptions. The fourth factor is tastes and preferences. Now, how this affects? You will purchase something which you prefer. Obviously, you do not prefer something, then will you purchase that? So, your tastes and your preferences affects your demand. If you prefer tea to coffee, then you will not purchase coffee even if it is available at a lower price. So your taste and preferences does affect the demand for a particular good. And the fifth factor is expectation of the consumers. Now, if the consumer expects that there will be a reduction in price in a near future, then what will he do? He will purchase less and less of the good tomorrow or today, because he knows that he will get that particular good at a lower price after some time. So when he expects a fall in price, he will reduce his demand now, and if he expects that the price will rise in near future, then he will increase his demand now. So in this way, the factors can affect your demand, or the factors can affect the demand for a particular good. Now, these factors and their relationship with the demand can be expressed in mathematical form, and we call this functional relationship as demand function. The definition of demand function is the functional relationship between demand for a commodity and the factors affecting it. Now, how can we express the relationship? It is expressed as an equation, or it as an equal sign, equality form, where in the left hand side we put demand for a good, and in the right hand side we put the determinants as the function. In the last line of the slide, you can see that we have written that demand function in mathematical term, where dx means demand for x. X is a hypothetical variable or a commodity, where demand for x is a function of px, that is price of x, pr, that is price of related goods, y, that is income of the consumer, T stands for consumers' tastes and preferences, and finally E stands for the expectations of the consumer. So these factors together determine the demand, and in this way we can express the relationship as a function. So we will stop here today. In the next session, we will discuss the further topics related to demand. Thank you for listening to me. Have a good time. Bye.